Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Tech Skill Builder. In last session, we have learned what is the props and their uses. So props like properties that you can send from your parent component to child component. So we send some name to greet some particular people. So we send the name from your app.tsx to your child component greetings or greeting class component that we have seen. So in this session, we will see the another most important topic is a state. So what is a state in React Native? In React Native, state is an object that holds data or information about the component can change over the time. For we will take the example, our text input box, or we are entering the username. Okay. So temporarily it will store the whatever we are entering in the use text input, that username the user is entering, that temporarily it will hold in the state variable. So we can see state variable in functional component and the class component. Okay, so state is an object that holds the data temporarily for that particular component. So unlike props which are passed from the parent, state is managed inside. What I said, the state it's holds the value for particular component, not over the different component. Okay, so unlike props which are passed from the parent, state is managed inside the component. When state changes, the component re-render. For example, you are changing some value in username, that again your component will re-render with that particular new data or new value. So what are the uses of this state in React Native? As I said, if suppose I have to enter username, then this input, what for example username, password, name, first name, last name, whatever the handling the inputs, for that we can use the state. Updating UI dynamically, for example toggles, counters, loaders. So these are the dynamically we need. If suppose you are changing the or updating the UI dynamically, in that case also you can use the state. So managing form data, for example we already seen username. This is a form data that you can manage by storing into the temporary storing in the that particular component. Okay, displaying API response data. So what are the data we are getting from the API response, that we will first store in the state variable, and that state variable data we will pass over to the our flat list or whatever the objects or components we have in React Native. Okay. Controlling visibility of the elements, for example model. So if suppose you will say some value we are storing, model we have to show or hide. So for that we can take the state variable show visibility. Okay, so visibility true means it will show, visibility false means it will dismiss. Okay, these are the few examples. So we'll see this in real time by having the program. So let's see the example in VS Code. So let's create a functional component again, or we can use this again. Okay, we'll create again, no problem. Just close all, just create one state in functional component. Okay, dot tsx. So import React from React, and then we'll use your view and comma text input. Sorry, from your React Native text input to entering to data. Okay, so in case of functional component, there is no lifecycle method like in class component. Okay, so for that reason React introduced hooks. So that's hooks we are going to use for your state variable. Okay, how to use that you will see. Const your state in functional component. Okay, this is your functional component. So here view, inside that view, okay, we'll take the text input. Okay, so in text input, what are the parameters we have? Placeholder. Here we'll say enter username. Okay, again what we have, max length we can give like 30. Okay, whatever. It's not like this. Okay, again on change text is the method. Okay, that we'll see. Okay, so how to use states in function component? For that we need to have like username comma set user name, and it will come from use state. We need to use state hooks from React. Okay, so initial value of the username will be your empty. Okay, on change text you need to set name, okay, as a username. Here another attribute is value will be your username. Okay, sorry. What is username? Okay, so here export default state in functional component. Okay, so to use the state in function component, what we have done, we have to use the hooks in from the React. Okay, use state. So like this we need to state initial value of the state username and set username and use state. Okay, so we need to pass here value text input on change text. Okay, text, and this text value will pass here. Okay, so let's try to access this. Let's try to run by specifying this component is index.js. Okay, so import component name from your slash src, sorry it's direct, right, comma your state. Okay, let's try to check whether it's working or not. Okay, in app.txt what's done, we need to just comment this. Okay, let's see. Okay, so why we are changing in app.tsx? There is no need, right? So instead of that you need to change here. Okay, so your I think input box is already functioning. Okay, so style your flex one, background color we may use orange. Okay, it's reflecting, yes. Okay, so let's style something to text input saying align self in center. Okay, and then padding we can give 20, Also border, will give the border color black, border color black. Okay, let's see, border color, border radius, border radius 10, border width maybe 2. See, now it's working properly. Just give margin top 50 pixel. Okay, so now your text input components ready. If suppose you are entering something, it's reflecting here because we have used the, if suppose you will not use this username, then what will happen? Const username equal to empty, and then if suppose you will use like this, then what will happen? So just comment this, let's see what will happen. Even if suppose you will enter, nothing will happen here. Okay, so we need to use the state variable to hold the any object data. Okay, so now we are, whatever we are entering, it's storing in your state variable. How to check that? So we'll have one method, const check input value. Okay, and then here what we will do is we just alert from React Native dot alert, and this value username, we will pass the username. Okay, we'll just okay, so we also have this text value, we will pass the text value here. So that, and what is this, what is saying is simply any, you can say string. Okay, so we'll set username by using set, and this is a text. Let's see now. Okay, what will happen? See, it's reflecting. As soon as I am writing here, the value is reflecting. Okay, so this way you can check your, or you can give the simply one button. Okay, button title equal to button, which is from again React. Okay, button from React, and then title is equal to submit. Okay, and there is one method on press, on that press you need to call display username. Okay, so what it will do, it will display the username value instead of writing there in check value const, this is a function name, and then alert a username. So we'll use a state variable here. Here we will not alert, we will just save the value. Okay, so on click you can get the username value. Okay, so what use state or state variable will do, it's hold the value for your component. So we have seen the example how to store the value in state variable in a functional component. Now we will see by taking the example of class component. So we'll create same file name with in class component, instead of functional we'll use a class component. Okay, So we'll just copy paste and we'll try to change into the class component. Okay, control V. So how to convert? So this is the in functional. Instead of in functional, we can say is the class component. Okay, and class which extends your component from React. Okay, so we don't, here in class component these things will not work. Use state. So for that, constructor. So we'll do the class component in class component means state variable in the class component. Okay, so for that, here constructor will be there for the class. Here we need to pass the props. Okay, and then super this props. Okay, this is the syntax. Okay, and then this dot state. Okay, in that state we can have username. Okay, and that will be empty initially. Okay, display alert. Here this dot state dot username. So let's see how it is in state variable in the class component. So we have written the constructor. This is the way to write a construct in any class component, and we have taken the username. Okay, and the same your view. So instead of orange, to see the difference we'll see say red, and other things are same. So instead of username, this dot state dot your username. Okay, and display username same. Okay, so we need to specify in your index.js import your state in class component from your that particular component. Just pass here to see the reflect. Okay, what is the issue? State in class component doesn't exit. State in class component doesn't exit. Why? This is a class component and this is also class component. This is the React. Oh, use state. We don't require this class component. Okay, so app.tsx we need to do in class component. Okay, we need to change it here. Let's try to run again. Okay, so now your state in the class component screen executed. See, the background color also change. The background color is red for the class component and function component it was orange. So enter something. Okay, what happened? The placeholder, the text inputs, the property check input value doesn't exit. Okay, check input value. Okay, so we need to declare this function here. Just string it will come. Okay, and then here what we'll do, set state. Okay, set state is a method where we need to specify the value. Okay, this is the syntax to set the text value. Now let's see. Yes, so take what happened. the check input value. The check input value is already there, right? Check input value doesn't exist. Just try to say the property check value does not exist. What? Okay, this is a class component, so we need to access this function by using this keyword. Okay, now it's working. Okay, the display property. Okay, for this also we need to specify this dot your name. I think it will work now. Yeah, it should work. It's showing the dialog. So we have seen the state, what is a state variable, and what are the use of state, and how to use in functional component. So in functional component we need to use hooks, because there is no by default the state supported things. So React introduces hooks to as a use state from the React, and by using the use state you can maintain the your state variable. So state variable is for local component, for that particular component, for example to store the value for text input, and to pass the to change the value, to change the counter value. So these are the some examples where you can use the state variable. So we have seen used by using the use state you can maintain the state in the functional component, and we also have seen like how to use in the class component. So for that we have this dot state, or in constructor you need to initialize whatever the variable state variables are there, like username, password, on all this, and this dot that particular function name we need to use. Okay, I hope you understood this, the concept of state, and earlier concept was the props. These are very important topics or concept in React Native that you need to understand, where to use props, where to use your state variable, because this is day by day daily uses the component, or the the topics are there, so you need to understand properly. So I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, so that you will get updated videos for React Native and different technologies as well. And please share with your friends, so that they also can learn the React Native and they will become a pro in React Native. Thank you.